Hi, welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending January 8th, 2016. This is episode 211, where you can get all your smart building control news and all the control news you can use. I am joined, ladies and gentlemen, by my co-host, your co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smiles, who will be filling his backup quarterback for Ben Roethlisberger in the Pittsburgh Steelers game today, tomorrow with Miami. Smiles out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's a balmy 7 degrees here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No, it actually went up to 12. A couple hours ago when we started, it was cold. But yeah, it's going to be a heck of a game in Pittsburgh. Steelers are playing Miami Dolphins. Miami's tough. It's just a great time. Fortunately, we get another holiday. We got Thanksgiving, and then the holidays over Christmas, and then we got New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, and then we've got the playoffs. So it's people in Pittsburgh are getting all pumped up. And
next to sports, the second most popular thing in Pittsburgh is the Control Trends Award. So we got to talk about that a little bit. I think we need to talk about the Control Trends Awards. Let's talk, Kenny. First of all, time and location. Make sure people understand that.
All right. Well, it's like Lionel Richie all night long. I can talk about control trends all night long because we've got the best show of this will be our 5th show. And I think from the lessons learned and the venue improvements we've made and the curriculum, the venue's awesome. And now the show, the categories, everything's coming together. So the details are, and we have to go over 2 parts of it. Number 1, the location, and number 2, the voting that's still in effect. The voting for the Control Trends, the 2016 Control Trends Awards does not end until January 19th. Now, the Poll Daddy connection that you might get as a link might show because once you vote, that link has expired. You cannot vote again. So we've had a lot of the Control Trends community sending the votes after they voted, sending that link out to their friends and their peers and their colleagues, and it says the voting period's over. That's because that one vote, that one opportunity to vote has been expired. But the whole voting, you just go to our website, you go to ControlTrends.com, you click on the right-hand side, it says click to vote. If you're using a new computer, not the computer you already voted on, so if you receive this note and it says that your Control Trends voting period has ended, that just means that's a single vote. So go back to Control Trends on a different computer, and then you'll be able to vote freely. So we apologize for that limiting factor, the logistic issue, but that's how we are. That's our workaround right now. Is get a different computer. You can't use the same link that somebody already voted and sent you that link because it'll show it.
Okay, but hang on. Let me make sure I understand this right. But if you're going to send the link to somebody else, send the link out to your network before you vote with that link. Okay,
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But once you actually vote and you try to send that link again, it will not work, is what you're saying. They could go back to Control Trends and they could just get a link, that link off the Control Trends site.
On a different computer. If you go back to Control Trends with that same computer, it'll show you as being expired. So you have to change computers. So I'm telling you that I've done it and I've walked people through it. So let's say I take my computer right now and vote for Control Trends. And it'll say, thank you for voting. Okay, I go log out, I go somewhere else on the internet, I come back to Control Trends and I try to vote again. It will show that I have voted already. It'll show that the Control Trends voting period has ended. So, if we're not talking about people multiple voting, we're talking about people trying to help us out and spread the word. But like you said, you clarified, if you've already voted and you sent that link out, it'll show that the control period's ended, the voting period has ended. But if you send it out before you vote, then they can use it. Each person will be able to use that link. Okay, that's what the trouble we're having with all the, like we're on Ken St. Clair's site, Automated Buildings, the voting thing. So he also asked for clarification. But that's what the issue is once you vote on one computer, it's a one vote, one computer option. And even though you want to help us out and spread the link to the voting site on Poll Daddy, if you send the link after you voted, it'll show it being expired. The voting period has ended.
Very well said, Kenny. All right, well, let's talk about the location because there's a little confusion about that and also the time and the date.
Well, I'd love it because, again, we're so excited that we might not emphasize the small uniqueness of it. The Hard Rock Cafe is a separate facility from the Hard Rock Hotel. They're geographically separated by 2 blocks. Their business venues are different. So even though they're related in the corporate scheme of things, the Hard Rock Cafe Live is on the Strip, and that's where we're having our show. The Hard Rock Cafe Hotel is a different entity 2 blocks away, and if you go there in a cab, you got a long walk to get back to where you're supposed to be. So the 2016 Control Trends Awards will be held 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on the 29th of January, the Sunday before the start of AHR show. It will be held at the Hard Rock Cafe on the 2nd floor, the VIP room. You'll come up the elevator or walk the stairs, and you'll be greeted by a very, very interesting Hollywood setting with the red carpet, with some Las Vegas flair, and then you'll see. We have some other information that we'll talk about later on the show with Blue Ridge Technology. But right now, so be sure to distinguish between the Hard Rock Cafe on the Las Vegas Strip and the Hard Rock Hotel, which is 2 blocks away in the wrong place. So if anybody wants to get clarification, please go to our website because we have the address on it. I can give you the address.
Well, we have the address there too. And the other thing,
3881 Strip. So it's right there. You can't miss it if you go to the Hard Rock Cafe and the Hard Rock Live. Okay, the Hard Rock Live. That's where we're having the show. The Hard Rock Live is on the 2nd floor of the Hard Rock Cafe.
Right.
The Hard Rock Cafe has a little restaurant on the bottom floor. On the 1st floor, it has a little souvenir shop. Not a little, a big one. But so we're not there. We're on the 2nd floor. And when you come through the VIP entrance, you'll know that you're at the right place because we'll have our Control Trends logos.
Right. Some people were getting confused about that too. So the Hard Rock Cafe and the Hard Rock Live are the same thing. So if you get in a cab or an Uber and say, "Take me to the Hard Rock Cafe," and they go, "You want to go to the Hard Rock Live?" That's the same thing. You just do not want to go to the Hard Rock Hotel. That's
Correct.
your distinction. If you get past that, okay, good stuff, Kenny. Good stuff. All right, Big Dog. What do we got going on now?
Well, Eric, we've got we had just an extraordinary busy week to advance the Control Trends Awards. We thank our sponsors again, time and time again. Without their help and their support, we couldn't do the show. But we've got an enormous support from the sponsors, and we're going to have a great show. It's all lined up. We've got a magical evening. It's going to be a magical event at a magical location. The venue itself, again, is going to be different. It's going to be like the BB King event where we're going to be on one level. It's a clubbish environment. It's going to be a fabulous dinner, a sit-down plated dinner. It's got a great menu. We got some. I'll read the menu later, not now. But the interesting aspect is the way the Hard Rock Cafe has really extended themselves, and the venue's so perfect for our show because it's all about entertainment. It's all about great seating, great location, great ambience, and then great food, great drink, networking, and then there's going to be the continuous. You can stay at the Hard Rock Cafe after the show instead of us having to be shooed out where we only had a limited 6:30, 9:30, 9:30. Boom, they start taking everything down. That's not going to happen this year. We're going to be able to rock on and have a good time there, so everybody can prepare properly for the AHR show Monday morning.
Kenny, one other question we're getting a lot about is when the tickets are going to come out, the sponsors will have the tickets, okay? And typically what we do, and I don't know when they'll go out yet, Kenny, I know we're working on it, but typically we will email the tickets out or mail the tickets out to the sponsors. They'll email the tickets to the sponsors. So if you want to go to the show, reach out to our sponsors. You can see them on the side. A lot of times they'll have extra tickets. That's your best route. People that don't do that, we're getting questions about, hey, can I buy single-seated tickets? Well, we will make that available. Every year we have 1 or 2 people that want to do that. So we would encourage you to go to our sponsors first because otherwise Kenny and I have to set up a special thing to allow you to actually buy a single-seated ticket. So if you're having a lot of trouble, you can just reach out to us and email us better not email me because I have trouble with email, but just reach out in comments and just say, hey, I need you to track some tickets, and we'll get those for you.
Well, what we could do, Eric, and a suggestion came out that we're going to have we're going to use PayPal. So individual tickets are going to be we have to complete the sponsorship our responsibility to our sponsors. And we're clarifying exactly how many sponsors we have and how many seats that they each have. And from there, we're going to have excess seats. We want a maximum capacity. So we're going to give people the opportunity to buy single seats. And like you said, there's different sponsors like CG&A for all the distributors out there and all the systems integrators. Contact Jim Heyman at CG&A, find out what their status is. So the platinum sponsors, look on our website and look at the platinum sponsors, and they're going to have tickets, and they want to bring you on board to their show as their guests. It's going to be a fabulous dinner, plated dinner, banquet dinner. So, it's going to be, an exciting moment, but again, it requires networking. It requires a little bit of effort to get to know who's going, which sponsors have tickets. In the event that doesn't work for you, please keep coming to Control Trends, because we'll have an option to buy a single ticket. And again, but we have to do it in order. It's a sequence. And even though it's January 29th and today's January 8th, we have to do it in that sequence. We got another week before we're going to finalize exactly how many seats are going to be extra, and then we'll make those seats available by all means.
I think it's going to be a sold out show.
Just looking that way. And then we I don't know if it's a good time or not, but I wanted just to remind everybody that Blue Ridge Technology has an event that if you know Blue Ridge Technology and Bill Duckelberger or any of his folks, please reach out to them, because Blue Ridge Technology is going to take a VIP room option before the show. So between 5 o'clock and 6:30, Blue Ridge Technology is going to have a guest list, and they're going to send invitations out, because they're going to have a reception there. So you can get primed for the Control Trends Awards going to Blue Ridge Technology's VIP event in the VIP room at the Hard Rock Cafe. So if you're interested in that, also send in comments, give us an option to get back to you and refer you to Bill Duckelberger and his people down at Blue Ridge Technology. But that's another thing that's coming, and we're seeing a lot of systems integrators that want to take advantage of this, and that could be their access point to get to the show. But
let me tell you something. Bill Duckelberger is one of the coolest guys in our industry, maybe one of the best kept secrets. Bill is this type of guy. He's understated. He says what he means what he says. I've accused him of sort of being a cross between Sons of Anarchy and Albert Einstein, because he looks like the type of guy you'd love to have on your side in a bar fight, and would not want to be on the other side of him in a bar fight. But he's absolutely brilliant. This is good, folks. I think he's the best of the best of sort of the type of people we have in our industry, Kenny. I mean, he started sweeping the floors at ALC, worked his way up, became the president of the company. Carrier bought him out. He's sort of looking around and didn't sort of like the direction that was going. Because, again, this is a guy that just sort of no BS, just does what he says he's going to do. Saw they had a lighting company. He bought it. So if you got to go to Control Trends, check out some of the interviews with Bill Duckelberger. Plus, we got some of his product videos. But I think the integrators that are in the know really appreciate his product, because he approaches lighting from the aspect of an integrator, somebody that really understands integration. So everything is just got that attention to detail. It's care. It's kind of like opening up an Apple computer. I mean, just unboxing it in and of itself is a beautiful thing, because of the attention to detail. Very competitively priced. But on top of that, Kenny, I mean, Bill's personality, the way he rolls, he takes great care of people. If you buy a product from him, you know it's going to work. You know he's going to make it right. He is just, he's an understated guy, though. That's the thing. I think until you really get to know him, sometimes the appreciation of this guy and his company just sort of gets lost in the shuffle. So would encourage that, and Bill has graciously sort of opened that up. He said, look, I'm going to have this reception before the Control Trends Awards, which will be awesome. And, I'll probably have some extra seats. We like to open those up to your Control Trends community. So if you have some people that are interested, have them reach out, and we'd love to have them if space permitting.
That's exactly right. And the another tie-in with the Blue Ridge Technology and our show is we are going to have BACnet International as our event sponsor, and they're going to have some incredible people there giving out some incredible awards. It's going to synergize and even magnify the attention that we're trying to give on our industry. Well, Blue Ridge Technology not only has a member of BACnet International, but they're all about BACnet. And that's one of the differences of the Blue Ridge Technology platform, is it's a unified lighting offering that is specifically tailored to BACnet networks, and for sure everything's going to work and everything's going to be discoverable, and all your points are going to be absolutely easy to find, easy to control, and easy to command, and so but I don't want to go too far off on a tangent with the Blue Ridge technology, because they're not going to try to do any training there at the show. This is going to be fun. This is a collaboration where they're going to talk, just business and fun. No technical training or anything. It's a VIP reception, and Bill and his folks will be there to welcome systems integrators, distributors, and other like-minded people that would be interested in the Blue Ridge technology platform.
Well, I understand that Bill's quite a motorcycle rider too, Kenny, and I think that he's trying to work something out with Hard Rock so he can get people motorcycle rides around the venue there. So it'll be good stuff. So, Bill, man, we appreciate you. And what a gracious offer, because Kenny and I can tell you this is not inexpensive. This venue is top hat. The food's top hat. The drinks are top hat. So Bill's dropping a pretty penny on this reception for his existing customers, and the fact that he's reaching out to the community and saying, "Hey, I've got some extra spaces. Would love to entertain the Control Trends community there as well." All right, buddy.
Well, very good. Yeah, and again, the cool thing about Bill is that, like you said, he likes to do things. He's going to make this an enviable opportunity. So it's going to be a fun time.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, people are going to want to be there and say, how can I get to that Blue Ridge meeting? I want to go to the thing before the Control Trends at the Hard Rock Cafe, because as you can imagine, there's going to be some great hors d'oeuvres and some great drinks and whatever. But the week we had passed, Eric, again, so we talked about the Control Trends, to the point where this is the critical stage in state. So we'd love everybody to support, and please vote. Please pass on the ballot to people. We get a lot of global people, and again, we wish we could make everything easier and have a panacea response or anything, but we're a growing organization ourselves, and we appreciate people's patience and ideas. If you can tell us better ways to solve things, we appreciate it. But the fact is, it's growing, and so we encounter issues that we didn't anticipate, and it didn't happen before, but we're working on them, and we promise to resolve everything we can as quickly as possible. But so the week itself was a lot of the administration stuff. We've got a great show. The venue solidified. Again, the logistics. You can't just drive up in front of a Las Vegas hotel anymore, jump out of a cab. You have to be going over, those crowd control barriers that they don't let people get out. You can't walk onto the strip. You have to come at certain periods. You have to go around to the halfway around the building, get out there at a cab stand, then walk into the crowd, behind the crowd barriers, and then walk to the front of the building. So, just Las Vegas is this interesting place. If people that have been there know exactly what we're talking about. If you haven't been there, it's going to be a great time, but be early, because you're not just going to hop out of a cab and walk through the front door. You're going to go for a half a block walk to get to the accessible points of the sidewalk. So, and then we did have some regular posts, Eric. We had we were continuing with the most impactful video series, which is we're all about video. We're all about showing people, and we're all showing, we're all about social media, and we're all about the efficacy of marketing and video marketing collateral. And we see some great products out there, and that's the feature of this week. And we will continue. We have 3 or 4 more to post, and then it's a voted area, and it's receiving a lot of attention, just like we presumed it would. It was a great suggestion brought to us. So the first one we have up is on the J2 innovations. It's, as we say, the 2016 Control Trends most impactful video of the year, introducing Fin 4.0. And this is just a great marketing piece. You can see it running to my left, over your right, my left. But it's just, good stuff, and it's very informative. It's, a minute and 45 seconds long, and it tells the story about Fin 4.0. And J2's latest and greatest, product that they have available for building, complete framework. It can do the whole thing, and get great trainers. Who's the trainer? The global
Gerard
trainer?
Huff.
Gerard Huff.
And they do a great job with the video. Very visual. You can imagine, from a company that does visualization products, they do a wonderful job with that. And then great tech support with people like Scott Mensch, and Jason Briggs is one of the great leaders in our industry. So it's a beautiful video, Kenny, and that's going to be a hotly contested category. It's a new category. Gina Elliott from Snyder Electric suggested it for us, and we think it's a marvelous idea. The videos that made the finals are just phenomenal. So good stuff there. Good stuff.
Right. So we're going to see another one here very shortly. I believe next one up is going to be another impactful video post. And it's we've had there was 13 in the overall award category competition that made it to the finals, and it's not just about products. So some people take the time to focus it on their people. Some people focus it on their their technical support people. ACI did a wonderful story about their organization. This is ACI. We have ECIO had one where there's the new building management. There's a new way to do systems integration. Okay, next up we have the Energy Department launches a new Manufacturing USA Institute, and we needed to break the ice up a little bit. But as you know, we get the DOE posts. The Department of Energy is really on the move, and what's really cool about this is I don't think many people in our industry are keeping track of the opportunities there. And one of the great initiatives that they've come up with is the Reducing Embodied Energy and Decreasing Emissions Institute. It's called REMADE as the acronym, which will be headquartered in Rochester, New York, and it will be led by the Sustainable Manufacturing Innovation Alliances. And they leverage $70 million in federal funding. It was matched by $70 million from 100 partners on the private sector. But if you look at this post, it will tell you that some very good information, but where markets are going to be headed. And if you have products that are suitable, or if you're a contractor or whatever, you're looking for places where there's ample budgets available to bid or to pay for projects, this is one of them. U.S. manufacturing accounts for 25% of the nation's total annual energy use. 25% of the energy used in America goes into manufacturing. And the concept here is to create physical products that are created as a result of manufacturing that they embody most of that energy. So the research and deployment of cost-effective technologies that can reduce the energy used in materials production could offer energy savings to 1.6 quadrillion BTU annually in the U.S. So it's a neat program, but I think I always heard people talk at meetings and some of the conferences we go to that they're after different markets. The smart city market, for instance, is something that we talked about this week a lot, and what's going on there. And the smart city organization just announced another city as being smart city qualified. So this is another area where a lot of money is going into it. It's not going to go away because again, the federal government committed $922 million, matched by $1.87 billion in non-federal investment into manufacturing sectors. And now I think with the new president-elect, we're going to see that emphasis continue. And if you have the resources and you got people slowing down a little bit, you might want to look into these markets to see if there's any opportunities for you.
Very, very cool. Well, speaking of smart cities and smart buildings and smart guys, let's bring our guest on. How about introducing our guest this week, Kenny?
Sure. Ken St. Clair, the editor, owner of AutomatedBuildings.com. Ken St. Clair is one of the most venerated, if not the most venerated person in our industry. He is one of the most progressive old statesmen that we have the pleasure of working with constantly. And we're really excited to talk about Ken's January theme, which is our assets are our people, not technology. Very interesting take on the movement to get IoT out in the front burner and forget about everything else like people, which is not going to happen. And then two, we're going to talk a little bit about Ken's change to his mission statement, the catalyst and harbinger of the IoT future of building automations, as set forth in January 2017. So welcome to the show, Ken St. Clair.
Hey, wait a second, Ken. Now, if Kenny called me the old statesman, I might not want to come on. You still want to talk to us after that introduction?
Sure, guys, I'm going to talk to you.
Well, he's got 40-some years of experience. We got to take that into consideration, and yet he's got the most modern thought footprint in the media. There's nobody.
No. I say that in jest, Kenny. But Ken, obviously we are super, super big fans of yours, and man, really appreciate you taking time to talk to us. As always, we missed you in December. That was our fault, not yours. But we got a lot of catching up to do. We want to spend a good part of the show talking to you, Ken. And by the way, first of all, foremost, happy 2017. I think we're all going to have a big year this year. What? First of all, how are your holidays? What have you been up to? And then we'll roll into the show, man.
Holidays were great. Kind of quiet, but good. And that's great. Really looking forward to 2017. You can sense the excitement in my editorials and mission statements moving forward, and looking forward to AHR Expo.
Well,
Control Trends.
Why don't we talk a little bit about what trend? So was it, first of all, two questions to start off for me. Sorry about that, Kenny. I'm going off script a little bit. But first of all, did anything surprise you in 2016? And the second question would be, so what are some of your predictions for 2017?
What surprised me in 2016 is I usually am talking about stuff that's going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years. And a lot of the stuff I started talking about happened before the end of the year. So I'm definitely seeing that the rate at which this change is coming, the revolution, whatever it is coming really fast. And the conclusion I came to is when I was kind of putting my thoughts together for the end of the year and looking forward, is that this life never really changes. It's just stuff that comes at us, whether it's moving from pneumatics to DDC or moving from DDC to IFT. It's just same old. And in the final analysis, it's the people who can adapt to the change. I think Therese did some parallels to Darwin and evolution, and we just have to get on with it, make the changes.
Right. Very good stuff. Well, let's just to start out, kind of expounding on, when we're talking about a mission statement is critical to an organization to give you kind of like a projection and something, statement to live up to and run behind to, like throwing a big pass downfield and to get there. But I think this is one of the most interesting mission statements because it's so in depth and you talk about things that I don't think many people are really absorbing in the osmosis into their organizations yet, where you say systems will be smarter, self-learning, edgy, innovative, sophisticated. They will automatically configure and integrate new equipment so they can optimize themselves, which is a reference to artificial intelligence, self-manage, self-heal, while reinventing purposeful, productive, desirable buildings and accommodations. Wow. Why don't you just kind of break the measured variables down to how you see people like us putting those into effect? How does a building owner, how does a systems integrator, how does a distributor, how does a contractor put all this new stuff into effect?
Well, I think anybody that's been sort of following what we've been writing for the last year has seen a big thrust to move, not necessarily away from energy and comfort, but to move to the productivity piece. Because it's so lucrative to our industry. I mean, we move from a few dollars a square foot of potential savings that we can work on to moving into hundreds of dollars of potential savings that we can work on. And it comes at an excellent time when everyone has come to pretty much the same conclusion as our January theme is, that our only assets are our people. So we have to treat them right and we have to make them happy. Compounded on that is the fact that millenniums are falling on top of us, and there's no way in the world they're going to sit in one of our old cubicles, and they're even questioning whether this should be an office building. Why doesn't it look more like a hotel, Starbucks, or a condominium so I can crash when I come to the city and go to a meeting? I don't really want to, if you're going to buy me a hotel, I'll work from the hotel because it's nicer than the little flat I live in. So whatever, so a lot of changes coming on us quickly.
That is awesome. Very well said.
Yeah,
what do you think about that, Eric?
Well, I tell you what, we all grew up, I think, in an era, Ken, I think I'm speaking for you too, where shame and blame worked really well. I mean, can you imagine us in our early career going, hey, you got to get me something other than a cubicle? I mean, we sort of took what we got and we're happy with it, right? So it's definitely a different generation. But Ken, Therese talked about Darwinism and made me think of something because Darwinism to me represents the survival of the fittest. But there was another guy that sort of went counter to Darwin called Lamarck. I don't know if you ever heard his theory or not, but his theory was basically that if you were a dad and you lifted weights and, you worked and you improved yourself, or a mom, that genetically would get passed down to your children. Okay, I just sort of bring this up because I think Darwinism as a model for, surviving in these times is kind of bleak to me. And I'm wondering if the Lamarck model, meaning that, hey, as a company, the more you improve, the better you get, the more adaptable you're going to be to change. And those things get passed down the millennials and even through the next generation. I mean, you got to wonder what's going to come after millennials, right? So thoughts on that?
Yeah, I expound a little bit on that in my editorial, in the fact that I see that if we keep increasing our assets, which is our people, then our industry gets stronger. I mean, there's no doubt that industries are defined by the number of people and the sort of summation of the brain trust, I guess, within. So yes, very much. I think we just have to keep building that. I think we really have to shake our heads, because we all think we're in the technology business, and even you guys in your businesses, you're basically distributors of technology, but your true value is in your people and in your fact that you are willing to change and bring new technologies to your clients and customers, and they trust your lead and they follow you. But it's your people they're following, and your network of people that have the ability to get them up with the newest products and keep moving that on. So it's that's where the power is. The more of those people you have, the more connected they are to today. And I think that's what we were in the danger of. I think we were in a zone there that we were kind of sitting there watching this IFT stuff sort of floating away from us, and I think we have to grab it with vigor and embrace ourselves in it. And it's happening in our personal lives. We keep getting apps that do amazing things. We start to see personal assistants. Actually, I've had some great discussions with Harbor Research on that, and we even chatted a little bit about it at the IBCon meetings. We're trying to put together IBCon, some of the programs for IBCon as well, down in San Diego in April. So anyway, yeah, lots of stuff going on that basically surrounds just increasing our industry.
Well, Ken, I'm sorry, Kenny. Ken, real quick, you said something. A young lady from Intel wrote a column, the trends for 2016 that she perceived, and I thought she was pretty basic on most of them, stuff that you and I and Kenny and others have been talking about for years. But one that she talked about, and this gets back to sort of defining what you do, and I think we can probably dovetail into the. Kenny will probably ask you about your mission statement, but the one thing she did hit, and I think this is what we really have to grasp, is that it's really about the user experience. And we as building automation controls people, or distributors or integrators or manufacturers, I think really have to grasp the fact that what we're really doing now is we're helping manage the user experience in the space.
And I think the big tool we have that we never had before is social media, because, of course, as being control freaks, we know that the measured variable is all about being able to sense the variable and get a reaction out of it when we actually make a change. We've never really been able to do that before, but actually what has happened is we're able to close the control loop using social media. We can shut the heating off, and eventually the cell phones will start ringing and the Twitter feeds will start tweeting, and we'll be drummed out of town. So we have control. So I think we can fine tune it. We can actually put satisfaction numbers. I see that evolving in the near future. The powers numbers that they generate for cars and things. I think we need to do that for buildings. We need to have actual numbers that we can actually have satisfaction of how satisfied people are in their buildings, and let them vote in various places, and basically come up with the buildings they prefer to be in and why they prefer to be in them as well. So yes, we have a whole new control loop that we can work with.
I I love talking about this because I think you're right. I think it's right on. I think that the one thing I wanted to go back and revisit real quick was the comment of Therese. She used the Darwinism reference in several ways, but one was in the long history of humankind and animal kind, those who have learned to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. I did not know that Darwin used the word collaborate, but I thought that was a bullseye shot into what you talk about, your whole messaging. In fact, your one breakout is the collaboration, the collaboratory. But imagine now, so that we're sharing all this information, we're actually collaborating. You're providing us these huge insights, and we know about the 300 metric. So I just wonder how well we as a business, as an HVAC, and the adoption of this collaboration is working. What you were saying early on too, that you were surprised how quickly the changes occurred. It happened before the end of 2016. Do you think that we can collaborate successfully as an organization, or do you think it's going to be like forced upon us by the social media generated unhappy people that are going to make us respond to their unhappiness?
Well, of course, one of the traits of the millenniums is they are collaborators, and it's because they grew up in a time of social media, and they had a technology available to them that they had instant communications with their friends as they were growing up. So it's interesting when you pull them into the workplace, one of their greatest strengths is collaboration. And if you take a look where we came from, we all worked for Honeywell or Johnson or Schneider or somebody, and it was almost like we were in our silos, and we used to diss the other control company, and we grew up in a mindset of being individuals, and the mashing of these two cultures is great, and there's no doubt that for survival we need to collaborate. And there's no doubt that we need to collaborate with IoT. We should not let IoT sort of overpower us, which again, I was trying to do with my Chicken Little bit there, is we need to be careful because we can fall into IoT traps, but there's some shifts and changes we just certainly have to follow. And the Google and Amazon. A little later, I want to chat about personal assistants because I think that is going to have a big effect on our industry.
Well, why don't we roll into that right now, Ken?
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't know if you've been following that, but what's happening with the Amazon Echo and Google Home is pretty intriguing because what it's doing is it's another, in my mind, another giant leap over or to create a much better user relationship. And it, of course, just uses voice. So what this thing is, if you haven't been following, which I think everybody probably has, but it's a Bluetooth speaker that sits beside you, but it also is a mic. And so you can ask Mr. Google, what's the temperature today, or turn on the light in the kitchen, or a whole bunch of things. And because it's Google, and because the other variant of that is the Amazon Echo, because these are major IoT players, they have a tremendous amount of software behind it and a tremendous amount of self-learning. So these interface devices could significantly change how clumsy we are at keyboards, which has been sort of our resistance. That also has the potential of maybe bringing us old guys and some of the millennium folks to the same playing field, as the millenniums are not all that used to using the voice as well. They're more to touch their pads, their iPads and their phones. We're still have dependency on our old laptops. It may be like a whole new operating system. Wow. That is going to allow us to kind of have a common ground. So again, potentially another large step in the evolution. And the discussion I had with Harbor Research is what does this mean to multi-dwelling buildings? Because all of a sudden, a lot of the infrastructure that goes into multi-dwelling buildings is going to radically change. And the other thing they're trying to determine is how much the millenniums will actually drive those markets, especially in multiple dwelling buildings, since they are probably less likely to own homes as we do. So there's some pretty interesting dynamics that are kind of coming out of all of that. So I think it's another heads up, and we'll try and see where that's going. Again, I think it's good news for our industry, because when people talk to their personal assistants, they're going to want their personal assistants to do more things, and that'll mean more automation. So I think generally it's good news. People always look at the negative side, but they forget the positive side is as we slowly automate the world. That's what we do. It's just that we're going to be putting in more automated window controllers, more thermal control, more lighting control, more everything. It's going to be done wireless. It's going to be done completely different than we're doing it now. But we're the people. We're the people that know how to do that and put those things together.
That's an amazing observation. And as you said that, I just Googled it, and they're saying now that they're really experimenting to the point where not only are you going to tell the thermostat to turn the heat on, or open the blinds, or turn the television station to the Steeler game, but you're also going to pay your bills. You're also going to say, pay my electric bill or whatever. So you're not going to. It's amazing how they're going to go away from the keyboard all the way, just like you said, to the voice control on your mobile smart device. Holy moly!
Holy moly! The other thing that holy moly is into that is the cryptocurrencies and the blockchain finance that's coming. I think you kind of wonder how is that radical change going to occur, and it's going to be a new world, and it's going to. The thing is, it's going based on last year and based on my excitement for this year. This is coming on us a lot quicker than any of us really imagined. If we take a look at some of the changes, the other thing that's tied into this is that we've been talking about too is the low cost processors. These little, and I take a jab at that in my editorial too, is that the millenniums come and they don't do any of the things we tell them to do while they're giving us the Raspberry. And of course that was the reference to these low cost computers. And it amazes me that they're so low cost that they're starting to appear in little devices that normally we would never think of putting a computer in. And of course, that's what's going to develop the self-learning edge, is these little devices. And we're seeing it already into our industry. QA Graphics has basically one of their graphics packages comes with a Raspberry. It used to run on a Jace. And now the whole thing runs on a Raspberry. And that whole significant shift that has actually occurred last year even.
Ken, I got to hop in because you're hitting on such good stuff. So a couple of things I want to hit on real quick based on what you said. First of all, the voice activated control system. I don't know if you guys remember, there's a company, they're still around. I think they might be an advertiser on your website, Ken, called Solidyne. And Solidyne back in the 80s had a control system, and you couldn't program it by doing the commands, but you could say, change the temperature. You could do your time of day programming with it. You couldn't do the loops, but I think that it's going to be a quantum leap. The first controls company that comes out, and your programmers are sitting there saying, program a PID loop for VAV controller, 1 box control, now auto tune. Boom, done, copy, repeat. So I can see, we've already done a version of that. Solidyne did at least. I think they might have been way ahead of their time back then. Now, the second thing, Ken, I don't know whether or not EasyIO advertises on your website. If they don't, they should. So Mike Marcy and Lim Ken Sinclair's just got an awesome site. But as they pointed out to me, because those guys, I don't know whether you track them or not, they're doing tremendously innovative stuff that fits right in with what you're saying. One of their things, Ken, is why go with the Raspberry Pi? You have to be able to program C and all this other stuff. They've got a version that's less expensive than the Raspberry Pi, completely configurable, but you use the Sedona wire sheet. So if you already know how to program in a Jace, you can do that. Use their controllers right off the bat. So I think you're calling this dead nuts on. And I think the other thing that I hear you saying is that the variable that none of us expected, we all expected the change, we've all been calling change, was the rate and the speed at which change is taking place.
Absolutely right, and the Sedona is definitely a piece of the physical raspberry that we're getting from low cost processors, and of course that's one of our sessions at AHR Expo is the folks from the Sedona Alliance, which is a newly formed, not really a newly formed group, but a group that's been operating, and they've also pushed this whole operating system to be open, which is, again, a significant shift in the industry. Can you imagine that? Several vendors, we have as many as 5, 6, 7 vendors, including EasyIO, that are basically using the Sedona, open Sedona programming. So basically you can take one of these Raspberries, or you can take some other type of controller, a Beagle board, or there's probably a list of another 5 small platforms, and you can, the way you build this stuff is just insane. I mean, you buy this little thing and you plug it, it basically has its own I/O. You put a keyboard into it. You put you get a Wi-Fi. A lot of it comes with Wi-Fi. You sign it on. You download an operating system. You pick which operating system you wish to use. You download that, and you download something like some of the free Sedona stuff from Contemporary Controls, and there you go. You've got yourself something that online looks like a Jace box, and it's like, oh my God, it's just totally amazing. Something complete with a control language. As crazy as that may seem, it gets crazier in the fact that what Brad has been observing is that we're very close with the self-learning edge, using these devices and using them differently in basically assembling the data, and you sort of see the new scheme of things that the controller would actually edge into place, and it'll have some rules written, and it'll actually start writing its own sequence of operation and settling in based on what is happening, because it'll just simply self-learn, so that actually writing sequences of operations will be significantly changed in the fact that we will be more writing rules of what we want it to do and don't want it to do. I don't know if you can get your mind around that real quick, but that's
really,
quite a
really
shift.
Cool. With the self-programming controller.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Ken, that is absolutely phenomenal. Kenny, I mean, so much great stuff to talk to Ken Sinclair about. Do you have another question for him at this juncture?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm again, it's always so much fun to do it, because again, as much as I do read and keep, do my absolute best to keep on the movement of our industry. I hear these things, and I think I have one of those personalities. And as soon as I hear the sky's falling, Ken, that's my reaction to some of the stuff, because I just went on everything you're saying. I'm kind of keeping quiet here, but I'm exploding inside, because I'm seeing about the voice activation and how in industries that require hands. So everywhere you see people operating, working on warehousing, even driving, and need their hands to work on the operation aspect, they're going to be using voice controls to do everything, and it's already being implemented across 7 industries that are so it's been going on for 40 years, and yet now it's finally coming it's actually hitting our sweet spot. And when it happens, I like to ask the question of where we are in our careers, where we are as executives and as facility managers, as directors, as people that influence change. and have the budgetary resources to impact and to advance change. What are the steps that we tell people as these the trusted agents, as you said, as being the person that they really kind of rely on to keep them above water, at least towards the future and making smart spending? What are our first steps? And if you could just break it down, maybe as the perspective
what's the process for handling this massive change?
But as a building owner, as maybe as a facility manager, as maybe a systems integrator, and maybe as people in the distribution channel. And then manufacture. Yeah. Then manufacture. That's the hard one.
Yeah. Again, I think I tried to capture some of that in my editorial, and the fact that I'm saying it's all about the people. So rally your assets, drag them all into a room, young and old, especially lots of young. I suspect the problem with the bulk of the folks in our industry is they don't have enough young people to fill the room, and enough IoT folks that can bring the conversation that you and I, that we're all having here right now about personal devices, self-learning, IoT movement, and how is that going to affect our core values of that company. What is it the company does, and how is it going to do it better with all of these new technologies? But it's that whole education, basically identifying the young guns, and just trying to move ahead. I think we can move the people ahead. The other thing that we know is that we're talking about this stuff, and as fast as it's going to come, there'll be a few projects where it'll actually roll out. But the general lag of the industry is we're probably looking at a 4 or 5, maybe even a 10-year. I mean, we haven't even got DDC spread to every building yet. There still are some nomadic buildings out there. So you can see, and there's whole industries that can actually exist in the in-between. But you definitely should know it's coming, I think. So you can't actually just ignore this. And I think, again, they've got to start a trend where they've got to start dragging these young people in, or even just taking the young people within their companies and giving them a higher profile and listening to them, what they're actually talking about and what kinds of things push their buttons.
Well said.
Very
well
said.
Cool.
Go ahead, Kenny.
No, I highlighted that. I don't think people can see my screen as well, but as you were mentioning your editorial, I was taking my mouse and going down to those exact information. So if people are really and truly interested and concerned, all this is captured on your website. All this is in your January editorial that you need to visit time and time again and bring it to your colleagues so that we can start spreading the word and adapt and collaborate quickly enough to do that. What did you prefer, Darwin or who's the other one, Lamarck?
Yep.
But we need to all really, truly move forward and most importantly, emphasize on bringing in new talent and making our industry more appealing to new talent. In other words, I still think we have an image issue, and that's why, I always like to tout the Control Trends. What we're trying to do is because we think we have a super industry, and with minds like yours, Ken, the more we can elaborate that and broadcast that, we're going to prove to people that we're on top of stuff and that we're not a boring industry, and that we should have a lot more people trying to get into our industry at different layers, because you have technicians. It's not magic. You need people that can move and groove and understand electric, understand gas, and understand all the important medias that we work with. But you also need people that understand the data, the IT side of it, mixed with the OT, people that understand how equipment works. And so I call out to everybody that where you can keep us interested. Go to Ken's site, go to Automated Building site, and show people what's the future of our industry is going to be like and why it's so important to get involved now.
Right. And then if you're more simplistic like me, you can watch a TV show called Modern Family to sort of get a feel for, how our new community might work, where the old guy's married to the young guy and everybody's mixed up. But hey, Ken, speaking of stuff, let's get to some really fun stuff.
Can I just wedge one point before we leave, though? Yeah. I think we have to kind of create a self-driving building image. If you just quickly take a look at that who would have thought as little as a year ago we would be actually seriously entertaining self-driving cars, and the idea of a self-driving building is certainly more achievable and has a lot better appeal than any of the other adjectives that we've used, like building automation and IoT integration and stuff. And so maybe we need to just come up with some better marketing and simpler stating, because that's exactly where we're heading, is towards a self-driving building.
Well, yeah, very, very interesting. Ken, I tell you what, the other thing that we're looking at, I've told Kenny this numerous times, I think our Control Trends community knows, but I get a lot of my data. I got two friends that whatever they're reading, I read. One of them was my first mentor. He's in his 80s, voracious reader. The second is a guy named Anthony Bronzo. Anthony's probably 28 now. Anthony is saying that the next big thing that he and the millennials are playing with is this whole virtual reality thing. You see the things now with the glasses and all that. He said he thinks that that's going to become the agreed upon platform. In other words, you're going to get up in the morning, you're going to put your virtual reality glasses on. That's how you're going to do all your transactions. I could almost see that now as a way to program in buildings, especially if you got the voice activated thing. So now you're touring your building with virtual reality and you're giving it voice commands to do things. So I think that's something that hadn't quite hit our industry yet, but I think it's something we ought to be on the lookout for. And it's my guess sometime in 2017, we might be seeing people coming that way. But Ken, I wanted to talk to you a bit about.
Can I jump in on that one? Because I have a virtual reality mask. And the other day I was watching something which just totally blew me away. The kids had hacked the VR mask into high-speed racing drones, basically had streamed the video from the drones directly to the helmets, and basically were flying these drones at like 65, 70 miles an hour through a parkade at night. And basically it was like a reality video game.
Wow.
And you could actually see all of this stuff. And actually you were seeing what they were seeing. So you were actually dodging the pillars in a parkade at 60, 70 miles an hour. And there's another drone trying to take you out on your side. So it was like virtual reality or something. I found that kind of blew my old mind kind of thing, just to see something like that happening. So anyway,
so you could see that maybe transitioning over to building automation at some point. I mean, it's a possibility then. Well,
there actually is. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there actually is a Windows app. Like the whole idea of where we sit in a control room and we have a wall of screens.
Right.
They basically you can basically emulate that wall. And I don't know if you actually put a mask on, what happens is when you look at something, there's a little light laser point that's like your mouse point.
Yeah.
And then you actually click. So what you do is you're looking at 10 or 20 screens. You look at the screen you want to look at. You touch your virtual reality mask, and that comes with full screen. And then you look at it, then move around, and then you can back off and go to the next ones like that. So what we had a room full can actually just be in your face. So yes.
Well, right. And then you got the BIMs, they've been using that. So I mean, the technology's there, but I tell you, the industry that should really be getting behind this virtual reality thing, Ken, and Otto, is the food industry. Because imagine if we all agreed upon virtual reality, none of us would have to diet anymore, because we would just show up in our spouse's screens a certain way, right?
Yeah, good one.
Ken, let's talk Control Trends Awards, buddy. I mean, we got another big show coming up. You getting pumped up about it?
I am excited. But you haven't told me what I'm going to do, so I'm
You're going to be doing the Hall of Fame.
I'm just going to come and eat food and enjoy. And
well, we'll tell you right now, so our Control Trends community can hear, Ken. So we're not going to ask much of you this year. We want you to do the Hall of Fame induction again. We would like for you to do just some singing and some tap dancing. We got
maybe
a top hat and a cane. Yeah, maybe some
magic act. Yeah,
some stuff like that. But from your side of it, it seems like we got a lot of new players that have shown up in 2016 that are doing quite well in the nomination and the voting process on the Control Trends Awards. We've seen a lot of new players come in. What are you seeing from your side vis-a-vis Control Trends Awards, if anything?
Well, I think the involvement of BACnet International in the Control Trends Awards is amazing. I'm glad that union has occurred. I think it's a great place. BACnet folks are the working warriors of our industry, and they actually make these changes, and they don't come out to social events, and they don't celebrate their own successes well. And I'm really pleased that they're part of the Control Trends Award. And of course, one of our first inductees, which was Michael
Newman.
Michael Newman, when he came there, he said, I had no idea that something like this even existed in our industry. And so just the cross-pollination of BACnet and the people who use BACnet on a day-to-day basis, I think is an important piece. And I think there are other standards organizations that would be nice to bring in. The only problem that I understand you must be dealing with is that it just keeps growing and growing, and how do we actually manage it all? So
that's good.
Kudos to you.
Well, Ken, I got to ask you go ahead, Kenny.
No, I just the BACnet International folks. Yeah, the harmony there is amazing, because there's a synergy. Because they're going to give out 5 awards real quick: the Volunteer of the Year, the Member of the Year, the BACnet Hall of Fame, the Project of the Year, and this year, with again going in line with what we're saying with the Young Guns and some of the other important developmental ideas we've had, is they've got a Rising Star Award that they're going to give out. So I just wanted to chime in there and let you know that they do have a very full recognition event scheduled. So super.
Good stuff. Well, listen, Ken, I got one more very serious question to ask you. One of my teachers was a guy named Marshall Thurber. His son, Rawson Marshall Thurber, was a guy who did such great movies as Dodgeball and whatnot. So Kenny and I have been in conversation with him. We want to do Control Trends, building automation controls industry, the story. He's very interested in the movie. You would be one of the main characters right now. Just sort of need to know, who would you like to have play you in the movie? Burgess Meredith and Anthony Hopkins both want to play you, but you get to choose.
Why can't I play me?
There you go.
Well, as they say, the community, I mean, Hollywood cannot handle that. You're too real. We need somebody a little
lead curmudgeon.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you guys. Well, listen, sort of one last thing to sort of ties this together, because I think Hollywood does sort of, I think to a degree, sort of front run or as a harbinger of things to come. And Kenny, I know you and I have talked a little bit about this, but Ken Sinclair, I'm wondering if you, by any chance, seen this series on HBO called Westworld.
No, I haven't.
You got to check it out. It's a theme park where, and I won't give away too much of it, but it's a theme park where basically Anthony Hopkins has developed this theme park where they have what they call hosts, which are artificial intelligent beings, robots for lack of a better word, that interact with humans in such a way, and it's very, very compelling. So would put that on your list to watch with Jane in 2017, Westworld on HBO.
Great. Okay. Sounds good.
Kenny, anything else before we hop off with Ken?
No, we could go on for a long time. I just have to get a promise from Ken that we'll be back here next month, and we're looking forward to the February edition. And Ken, thank you very much for keeping us all, just up to date, current, keeping us alive with promise and hope, but also, with that kind of an explanation that you do, that professorial, explanation, the anecdotes that are important, so that we can take this information and digest it and not overdose with some of the tendencies that we have. I think one of the biggest things we have is people don't want to do anything because they figure it's hopeless, it's beyond them, they can't do it. The whole concept of this voice thing now just energizes people's minds, that they can be a part of the transitions. But the idea is to get involved, get your young folks involved, and don't be afraid to continuously evolve and change. Hence our reference to Darwin earlier in the show, and Lamarck.
Very, very well said. Well, listen, I tell you what, as Marshall Thurber once said, nothing's obvious to the uninformed. If you want to stay informed in our industry, you've got to go to automatedbuildings.com. You've been listening to Ken Sinclair, the owner, operator, and I guess whatever Jane tells you to do. Jane is Ken's lovely wife, and I think
it's founder or flounderer, I'm not sure which. Yeah.
Well, with Jane on your side, you're definitely doing great. But check out automatedbuildings.com. Ken, man, have a great rest of the day, and thanks so much for spending some time.
Time for one more or not?
You can do as many as you want to do, buddy.
Okay. Well, actually, the one I want to give sort of kudos to you guys is the pushing of the young guns. Originally, we kind of got cradled out with young energy. Now I hear you've got BACnet talking Rising Star. In the discussions I had with IBCon, I think I've convinced them that they have to start pushing and highlighting the young people in our industry. So I think we're making progress, guys. Kudos to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks
Kudos
so much,
to you.
Ken. Thank you so much, buddy. All right, Ken. Thanks again, bud. Great stuff from Ken Sinclair as always, Kenny. And I tell you what, we're sort of up against it. So let's hit this final post, and then we will be on with the rest of our day, man. You got Steeler football going.
I sure do. I'm excited, and you're right. We got 20 minutes. Just kidding. This is more important than the Steeler football game. Come on. This is one of my favorites, and we talk a lot about George Thomas and contemporary controls. George Thomas is already an inducted member of the Hall of Fame because of what he's done over the course of his year. George Thomas, in case people haven't read his bio, please visit the Control Trends organization, controltrends.org or controltrends.com. Because we have George's bio posted there, and if you ever want to read an interesting, start to success story, George began in the humble origins of his basement, where he fooled around with electronics and had a knack for it, and it just he was driven by curiosity, and then challenged by why you couldn't do certain things, why things were so hard. So George has dedicated his life to perfecting network experiences and network operations. He is probably one of the largest, most single-minded experts in networking, particularly in communication protocols, namely BACnet. And to Contemporary Control's credit, they did an 8-part series on understanding BACnet. And the first one is briefly, what is BACnet? So that begins an 8-part series. This thing has been hammered by global watchers around the world that know BACnet is part of the building protocol world. And if you don't know BACnet and you're not working with BACnet, you're going to be because BACnet probably has risen in its status within the protocols in the building automation industry. So it's a great slow speaking guy tells you in 8 minutes the fundamentals of BACnet, the layers of the protocol, the communications, the physical layers, all the important things, send, receive, why a protocol, what is a protocol and what is the BACnet protocol. And again,
and that's just episode 1, Kenny. They got 8, I think it's 8 episodes total. I mean, I think it is the primer and probably even deeper than a primer in terms of BACnet training. I mean, it's the place to go if you want to know about BACnet because they take a deeper dive in further episodes. Just what a gift to the industry. And I think that's one of the characteristics you've mentioned in the past on the show. George Thomas is a real giver. He gives so much to the industry. Just a great company. And he'll be at the Control Trends Awards. Contemporary Controls will be there. And good stuff, Kenny. Good stuff. Anything else you want to say?
No, just go to their website because, again, they give away a textbook there. Again, I mention it every chance I can because when we're looking for issues and you get some problems, and we know that companies like Optigo or whatever, they monitor the status of the BACnet network. And when it deteriorates, it goes into the red. It's because you got too much, too many things in there that don't belong there, and you've got problems that are very fixable. Well, if you go to the textbook that's downloadable for Contemporary Controls' website, and you go to their index and you look at some of the information there, it immediately gives you remedies and helps you to resolve network communication issues. And then they sell, of course, the tried and true and the proven routers that are probably the lowest, best cost solutions. And then they also give you an opportunity, like if your JACEs are getting maxed out with heap space or heap usage, that they could take some of that BACnet traffic off of the network through a router versus running it through the JACE. And they have a nice little presentation on that. So just great stuff. Great company,
stuff all the way around, man. All right, it looks like the Miami Dolphins are warming up. Looks like Big Ben is dressed out, so I guess, Kenny, that means that you're going to watch and not play quarterback for him this time. But good luck today with that. A special thanks to our guest, Ken Sinclair from AutomatedBuildings.com. We're pumped up about the Control Trends Awards. Hope to see everybody here in a couple of weeks. We'll be on next week talking some more about it. If you have any questions, reach out to us. But with that, be bold. Stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed. Kenny Myers. Go Steelers. Go Falcons. Yeah.
Yeah.